Hi guys, welcome to Less is More. My name is Dan Wellman and today we'll be looking at one of the most basic features that Less adds to CSS, variables. Variables are a fundamental part of any programming language, and now with Less we can finally use them with CSS. No more adding the same colours and fonts in multiple places throughout our CSS files. We can just define them once in a variable and then reuse that variable wherever it's needed. Over the course of this series, we'll take one of the pre-existing CSS files from a free website template and convert it into a Less file. This will allow us to explore all of Less's features using real-world examples without having to worry about all the other stuff that goes into any web page, like the HTML itself and other stuff like content. The template that we'll be using is a simple single-page portfolio template called OnePager. I picked this one because it's free and at the time of writing, pretty new. It's not even a month old yet. And I think it looks nice. Due to licensing restrictions, I'm not allowed to provide the template as a download accompanying this video series. So you'll need to head over to eGrappler and download the template yourself. Once downloaded, extract all of the files to a directory somewhere that's easy and convenient on your machine. This will be our working folder throughout the series. Probably the easiest way to convert the style sheet is to rename the existing style.css to style.less. We can then go through this Less file and convert the regular CSS into Less. So if you didn't download it already, you should also grab yourself a copy of Crunch and get that installed. Ready? Good. So let's open up Crunch and we can drag our project folder into the interface here. And if we look in the styles folder, here's our Less file. So it's pure CSS right now, and we'll work through that and gradually convert it over the course of the series. Okay, so we're ready to go. Let's make a start by creating some variables. Variables are defined using the @ symbol. One of the colours used in a couple of places throughout this style sheet is the dark blue used for the background of the page. So we can use a variable for this. So we'll call this variable blue. And the value of this is that. So if we look through the file, we should see that defined a few times. So yeah, it's there and there. So 3 times it's used. So that's how you define a variable in Less. You start with the @ symbol and you give the variable a name. The value is separated from the variable name using a colon, and then the line should end on a semicolon. So now that we've created a variable, we can go through and use the variable name in place of the value. So we can put one there, and we can stick another one there. And we'll stick another one there. Great. So that's now the only occurrence of this color, and of course that makes it very easy to change. If we wanted to use a red as the basis of a theme, then we've only got to change the blue in one place. So there's a few other colors that are used more than once in the example theme, so we can go ahead and create some variables for these as well now. They're mostly different shades of blue. So there's a few other colors that are used throughout the example theme, so we can go ahead and create variables for these now as well. So there's like a dark blue, and we've got like a pale blue, and there's like a mid-range blue kind of in between the dark and the pale. So we'll just call that mid blue. And finally, there's a couple of shades of red as well that are used in a couple of places, so we'll add some variables for those as well. And we can just set a variable for the standard font stack as well. So the values that we're setting to the variable names are exactly as they would be in CSS. So you don't need to quote things like font stacks. Great. Okay, so now we can go through the file and replace the occurrences of these values with our variables. So we can use our stack variable here. And if we just go through, we'll find and replace all of these quickly. So this shouldn't take too long. Of course, if we were writing a less file from scratch, then we wouldn't need to be going through an existing file like this and just replacing values. It would be much quicker to write from the get-go. But as we're converting a style sheet, we should go through and find and replace all of these occurrences. So it's just a couple more. So this is our mid blue. So there's a couple you can see on the screen right here. And we'll just do the reds as well. Yes, the syntax has got to be exactly correct, otherwise the compiler will throw errors. So we can stick our stack variable here. Great, okay, so right, we've been through and replaced all of the occurrences of the different variables that are held in our variables. So now if we want to make a change to any of these colors, it's really simple. We don't have to go hunting through the style sheet like I just have. We can just change the values here right at the top of our file. And I found it quite beneficial to keep all of your variable definitions as close together if possible. It's not always possible, but when it is possible, it just helps you, the less files stay a bit more organized, and that's one of the points of less, after all, is to bring some organization into our CSS. So yeah, it's just a handy little tip. Okay, so this is a less file. Obviously the template itself is expecting a CSS file, so in order to generate the CSS file, we just hit this crunch file button here, and that will ask us where we want to save our style sheet, so we better put it in the place where the template is expecting it. And if we take a look at the CSS file that's been generated, if we look for one of our rules, so yeah, there's our font stack. So it's been output in the CSS exactly as it was declared in the variable. So yeah, that's pretty much what we want. You'll notice here that the CSS is minified as well. It's another useful feature of Crunch. You can switch it off if you don't want minified CSS. So that's pretty much it for variables in less. There is one more aspect which we don't need to make use of in our example here, but it's useful to know just in case you need to use it at some point. So you can use a variable name as the value of another variable. So using what we've learned so far, we might expect something like this to work. So the reason I'm enclosing it in quotes is because we're going to use it as the value of the content property, which takes a string which is enclosed in quotes. So I don't know, we could just make up a selector. And we'll try to use our variable 2. So we'll try and crunch that. And it's thrown an error. And the reason it's thrown an error is because I've missed out the colon there. So we'll try that again. We'll crunch the file and we'll take a look at our selector. Oh, that's not what we want at all. It's output it literally. Okay. So to fix this, what we need to do is, first of all, we'll remove the @ symbol from where we're using it as the value of the second variable. And then when we want to use it in a CSS rule, then we just use a double @ sign instead. And if we crunch now, that's exactly what we want. So yeah, it's a feature I've not found myself really using ever, but because it's a feature of the language, I feel that we should at least look at it. So one of the benefits of using a compiler like Crunch, as you saw just a moment ago when I missed out the colon, if there's a problem with the less, then the compiler will tell us, which is quite useful. It doesn't tell us exactly what the problem is, but it tells us which line the error is on, and that allows us to just go back and fix it. So yeah, we don't actually need these, so we'll get rid of all of those. So in this part we looked at using variables in less. Variables alone can help reduce the size and amount of duplication of style sheets, and they make changing a colour or any style used in a variable very quick and easy because it only has to be changed in one place. In the next part we'll look at the significance of nesting in less files. Thanks for watching.